welcome to the March Roll the Die Challenge. I am your Stampin' Up! Independent Demonstrator, Michelle Hollings from Staten Island, and I am here to show you the card that I have come up with for this challenge. My Stampin' friends usually participate. Caron Bailey hosts, and she has these fun Stampin' die with different prompts on them. She rolls them at the end of every challenge and tells us, okay, here are your prompts for next month. Come up with a card. What can you do? So this month, the dies landed on Thanks, Monochromatic, Subtles, Sponging, and Ribbon or Twine. So this is the card that I've come up with for you. And my tutorial today is kind of an interesting one. It's about when your card doesn't come out exactly how you pictured it in your head, and kind of you make a mistake, but you decide to turn that mistake into a artistic choice of sorts. So my card today is like a peephole card where the inside, this is one piece, and you have it open up. So I have my ribbon, I have my monochromatic peachy colored theme. I've used subtles. My colors are Petal Pink and Calypso Coral. And I have sponged in two places, on my ribbon and in my flower. And it's a thank you card. So let me show you what you'll need, the supplies we use to make this card. We are using today the fun online exclusive set that you can get on my Stampin' Up! Website, which is michellehollings.stampinup.net. My host code this month is 67XEQDXB. If you use that code on any order under $150, that supports my channel. Thank you very much, and it helps me give out gifts to my customers whenever they make a $50 or more purchase. So if you're gonna make a purchase, please go ahead and use that code. If your order is over $150, please don't use the code because you will get the Stampin' rewards for your own order. So we're using this fun stamp set called Irresistible Blooms, and it comes with the matching dies called Irresistible Blooms dies, and a fun designer series paper pack called Hello Irresistible. I am absolutely in love with the colors and imaging of this paper. I've got some fun colors in here: Daffodil Delight, Flirty Flamingo, Lost Lagoon, Petal Pink, Pretty Peacock, and Soft Sea Foam. So I highly recommend this paper pack, and these are available on my website for purchase now if you would like to pick them up. You are going to need some Petal Pink cardstock, some thick basic white cardstock, some regular basic white cardstock, and 2 pieces of the Hello Irresistible Designer Series paper. So our measurements are going to be, for our thick basic white card base, 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. And we're going to be using a scrap piece of 3 by 3 basic white. Your Petal Pink cardstock is going to be 5 1/2 by 2 1/2. Your designer series paper, this is from the same sheet. You're going to have a piece that is 1 1/2 by 5 1/2 and a piece that is 2 by 5 1/2. You are going to want to have some kind of embellishment for your card. I am using the iridescent pastel gems. You're going to want to have some ribbon. I'm using the white crinkle seam ribbon. And you're going to want sponge dauber. You're going to need blocks for your stamps. And this is the H block and the D block. You're going to need your Stampin' Cut and Boss machine because we're going to be doing some die cutting, and die is rather large, so, and we're going to be cutting through several layers, so you want to use the big machine for that. And you're going to need some basic supplies like adhesive. You can use dry adhesive or liquid adhesive. You're going to want to take your pick tool, your scissors. I always use 2 pairs of scissors. So I use the snips and then I use a separate pair of scissors for my ribbon. You're going to want some Stampin' Dimensionals. Always Stampin' Dimensionals. Almost every card. And let's get started. So the first thing you want to do is take your card base. And one more thing you might want to have is a silicone mat to do your gluing. I'm going to use my silicone mat, take my card base, and I'm going to be gluing my paper layers down onto that. So we're going to start with this layer here, this 2 by 5.5, and you're going to glue your 1.5 by 5.5 piece to that. So I am just covering up the more yellow sections of the paper. Put that on the right hand side like this. And then I'm going to put this in the center of my Petal pink cardstock. And that's going to go right here. And that whole section is going to go in the center of your card base. Try to get that as even as you can. You can use your grid paper to line it up if you need to. I'm just going to eyeball it and hope for the best like I always do. We're winging it over here. Always winging it. All right, so this is going to be your card base to begin with. And then you're going to want to take out your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And we're going to be using this big circle piece die, which cuts in. So I want to have this come out like my first card. I'll show you the first card again. What happened was, this did not cut all the way through all these layers. And I should have known that it wasn't going to, but hey. I thought for some reason it was just going to cut all the way through. Not so much. So what ended up happening is I snipped off the pieces that stuck, and it ended up with kind of one big piece. And this little layer, I left these in here. I didn't cut these out. And then I decided to tie the ribbon there. So that was my artistic choice when things didn't turn out exactly according to plan. So we're going to make sure we place our die this time. And I want to just make sure I have the outside layer with the little 2 dot pieces. So that they're going to be, there they are, these guys. I want them to be over here on this side for my ribbon. And you're going to want to tape this down. So I'm just going to use Post-it tape. De-stick it a bit before you do this because there's going to be so much pressure that it's going to stick really tightly to your paper and you don't want to rip your card front because we are going to be using these pieces, both of them, the inside and the outside. So just de-stick it like on your pants or something like that. And stick that down so it's centered. You definitely want to stick it with tape because you're going to run this through several times until you see the outside cuts through. You don't need to worry about the inside cutting because we're going to leave that intact. So you're going to run that through your machine by opening your card up, feeding your card through the cutting apparatus part, and then lay this on your plates. You're probably going to want to use like a copy paper shim just to make sure it cuts mostly the outside. Once you have that, you can clean that up with your snips, and that's what I did. I just cut any place where it was stuck or still stuck in and didn't quite cut out. I cut around with my snips, and I left that little piece. And that left me with this. So you see I have my little place to tie my ribbon, and my card will open up like that. so the next piece you have is going to be this piece here. And you just want to run that through and get that inside part. So run that through your die cut machine, get your inside white piece, and that's where you're going to do your stamping. Okay, so we have our card base, we have our piece to stamp on, and there's our finished card so you can see what's going on here and how it should look. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is take Petal Pink ink, and I'm going to stamp my flower. Now you're going to want to line this up the best you can with your inner piece. This is what your inner piece is looking like. So you're going to want to make sure you have your inner piece. Just take a look how it lines up. Because you want to stamp your flower so that it's pointing the way you want. Just going to play a little match game here until I find which side is which. Okay, so this is how our finished piece is going to sit on the top. This is how we need to stamp it. All right, so ink up your flower stamp. Make sure that's right side up. And there's your flower. And we're going to take our sponge dauber, get him inky, and color in our flower. Give him a good sponging. Just tap, tap, tap until you have the color you want. Okay, and that looks good to me. Now I'm going to leave my ink out because we want to color in our ribbon. I'm going to take a piece of our crinkle ribbon, this aside to dry. And we're going to take our sponge dauber and just kind of drag it over our ribbon to give it some color. This is why you want to have your silicone mat, because otherwise you'd have a big mess on your hands. Just keep adding color till you like the desired result here. As dark or light as you want it. You can also use your Stampin' Blends markers to do this, but that's going to give you a more bold color, so I'm doing this for a more subtle look. Doing both sides. Okay, and we have a nice pinky, peachy colored ribbon. I'll put that aside to dry so it doesn't get everywhere. And I'm going to wipe this off a little bit. We don't get ink where we don't want it. I am notorious for getting ink where I don't want it, all over my fingers and my card. Alright, so we're done with Petal Pink. Let's move on to our Calypso Coral. We're going to take our thank you stamp. And we're going to just stamp right over the top of our flower. And there's our thank you. And that is the sum total of stamping that we are doing today. Okay, I'm going to put that back aside to dry again. And now we're going to do some gluing. So we are going to glue this guy inside the card. Line him back up with these pieces. Press him in. Make sure our card is still open. If you need to do any trimming to make sure that's smooth, go ahead, do that. And if there's any excess pieces that you don't want, just get rid of them. And do a little edit. Alright, so now that is how he'll open. And again, this is how he's going to sit there. But we're going to pop him up with some dimensionals. Grab your Stampin' Dimensionals. Can't live without them. They're my favorite foam adhesive. You would think it was Formula One on my street, the way these cars are racing up and down. We used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Stampin' Dimensionals. Not too many. Alright. So our card's coming together. But he needs to be embellished. So I'm going to take out my iridescent pastel gems and my Take Your Pick tool. I'm going to put some of these lightest color gems down here at the bottom. And I'm going to take some of the bigger ones and put them for anything that I want to cover. This is another way to fix if you have any mistakes. Like these divots here because of all the pressure. I'm going to stick one there. There's a little tiny divot there. So I'll stick one there. And then I'm going to put one right in the center here. So we're almost done. The card came together really quick. Grab your ribbon. And we have our little handle. Our ribbon handle, that's what we're calling it. I'm going to just snip the end of this ribbon to make it easier to feed through. There we go. He's going in there. Get in there. There we go. Feed that through. You can tie a little bow any way you want. I'm not going to tie it too tight because that will be a little delicate. I don't want it to tear. Alright, I'm going to adjust this to the size I want. And snip off the edges. Fiddle with that to your heart's content until you like it. And that's our finished card. It didn't take long at all. A nice simple card. So you have your open element, you have room to write, And got all our Roll the Die Challenge elements. It's a thank you card, monochromatic color scheme. My colors are subtles, my Petal Pink and Calypso Coral. We used our sponge dauber to do sponging in 2 places, on our flower and on our ribbon. And we used ribbon or twine. And that's the challenge all done. Thank you so much for joining me this month, and I hope to see you again next month. Please like, subscribe, follow, and visit all of the other blogs or videos and YouTube channels that we have in the description for the vlog hop, and thank you so much. Have a great week.